Man, that's amazing. Amazing. So, like, Ivan, I just want to be start from the start, man.
Sure.
Let's forget about you want to go and deliver a speech in front of people, man. Let's say like I don't want to deliver a speech in front of crowd. I don't even want to give presentation. I just want to be confident. If I go to like a family event, I am finding myself in a like realities of 3 or 5. I want to show my confident image, man. So how you think is that you can be confident in small groups, and then I know like if when you start getting confident in a smaller, you can improve it and grow it into much more crowd. But before even starting with how I can learn and be confident in communicating even with the strangers or with my relatives.
Well, again, there's no one right way.
Oh
So
yeah.
but let me answer your question in a couple of ways. Harpreet, and for anyone listening, whether you identify as introverted, extroverted, shy, or outgoing, the truth is that you're all those things depending on who you're in front of.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for
Makes
example,
sense.
Harpreet, both you and I, anyone listening, around certain people, you're outgoing and funny. Around others, you're quiet and reserved. Some people think of you as happy, happy. Other ones like, oh, they're very serious. He's the most serious person. The people we're in front of dictate the level of introvert, extrovert, confident, non-confident. So, and that's a true thing. You think
Now,
about it in your life, right?
now I think about it, man. Like, yeah, like sometimes in front of others, I show more extrovert image, and sometimes I just show like more obedient. So it
Yeah.
depends. Okay, yeah, I never think so much deep about it. You're right.
That's 100% truth. So when people say, what are ways that I can be more confident? And I'm going to give you some.
Mhm.
But first thing to understand is it's that the context dictates so much. I'm a quiet person around certain members of my family. Around others, I'm known as like the outgoing crazy one. Okay. So beyond that's the first thing to realize. But beyond that, if you're the person that struggles, let's say networking. Because when people say, how can I be more confident and stuff like that, what they really mean is when they're around strangers or they're in professional settings when they can't relax.
Yeah, yeah,
Because probably at a party with your three best friends, you're fine. You're fine, right? But
yeah,
it's always when you're like, yes, 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 oh yes, fintech stocks, yes, yes, fintech. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Or sometimes people get very self-conscious if English is not their first language. That's another context that they get
yes,
shy in,
yeah.
right? And that's so. The first thing to understand is that the whole thing, confident in front of others, is a different. It's the wrong question to ask, right? The the questions to be asking are like, who am I confident, and what context am I not confident?
Okay.
Great. That being said, in terms of things to do, I've really, number one, do what I did with us. So when someone says, how are you? Boom, right away. Because if you can get into a less formal conversation, you're going to chill out. The way you did, right? You
Yeah,
totally chilled out a little bit. At first, I know you probably have a list of questions you want to ask me, blah, blah, right?
yeah.
Right? You probably do. And you're like, so Yvonne, tell me about your experiences. But you're not even looking at that anymore
Hmm.
because we started off on the right foot.
Yeah,
So
man.
that's one. Number two, don't be afraid to let people talk until they're done. We want to always like, I got to look confident, so I got to say things and intrude, and like people interrupt all the time in conversations. I'm guilty of it too.
Hmm.
But what I've really been experimenting with is letting people talk until they're done. And sometimes it feels like an hour. And you're like, this person won't shut up. Usually it's like less than 5 minutes. In fact, there was some really interesting research that was done. You can check it out on PubMed. And it was done with general practitioners, doctors. And they looked at the average time before a doctor interrupts someone is about 30 seconds. Now, this experiment asked doctors to let the patient talk until they were done. The average time was under 2 minutes.
Oh,
The outlier was like 5 minutes.
yeah.
Here's the thing. When they let the patient talk until they were done, the person had a much more positive memory of the experience.
The
So even though the
person.
doctor didn't change anything, the doctor didn't change the prescription, didn't change what they said back, just by letting the other person talk till they were done, the people leaving thought, I got better care.
Amazing, man.
It's so funny. And I've been doing that a lot. I just like when I'm networking, I used to try and always say stuff about me, make myself look charismatic, make myself look charming. I let people go like this. And after a while, they just go like, oh my gosh, dude, I've been talking the whole time. Tell me about you. And usually they'll just be like very open. And I'm like, no, I want to hear more. And it always helps me to connect with people.
Amazing. In that way, like the person in front of you would also be like more keen to learn more about you, man, because he already talked about himself. Now he want to listen to you.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And when someone is not, like, for example, if we did the first thing with the name thing, and then we got into a different conversation, that person will probably talk forever. Like, you know, we could have talked about DC and like, I could have asked you about breakfast. We could have talked about for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I could have let you go. And you would have been like this and this and this and this. And I'm like, oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah. And we would have connected on a whole other level. Yeah. My friend, I actually have a friend of mine. Oh, I should introduce you to him. He's really good. His name is Randy. And he actually is, if you're in Mississauga ever, okay, he's the king of Mississauga. If there's an event, he's the MC. He had a radio show where he was in, Randy Prasad. His name, Randy Prasad. And he's so great. He's so charismatic. He's really humble. He's a beautiful man. I love him. And he's the most connected person I've met in like, he's just so connected. And he's like, Yvonne, it's not who you know. It's how they know you. Because your Facebook and your LinkedIn is full of people you would never say hello to on the street.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Whenever I meet someone, I try and give them a way to remember me. Like, so be like, when you meet Randy, oh, Randy. Oh, you got to meet Randy. Randy, this is the guy I was telling you about. You got to meet Harpreet. He's the DC guy I was telling you about. Yeah. And because it's a memory cue. Now they have a reason to introduce you to other people. They have a reason to remember you versus I'm a corporate trainer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't sound that ring, man.
Yeah. I'll introduce you to him because he's an MC. He's a great speaker. He had a radio show. He's a great communicator. He's just a cool guy.
Wonderful, brother. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it now.